Yo everybody, this is Rob the Great, aka
Perfect.
the Toy Boogie, coming to you with another tutorial video. Now this isn't a toy hunt, this isn't a diorama, but this is a very good action figure video. So now, there are some people who want to do customs, right? Say you want to do customs and you don't want to paint. Sometimes people don't like painting custom action figures because they don't want any paint chipping. Now, the best way to avoid paint chipping is to dye your action figures. So there is a way to dye the plastic so that the under plastic is a different color. No matter what you paint, if you scratch off the paint, you're gonna see the bottom. So now this will work for all different types of plastic. As you can see, I have guns, NECA toy guns from different colors. I got even some dollar store cheap guns, some Marvel Legends guns of all different colors that I would want just solid black, and then that you could like dry brush them and stuff. And I also have some other figures, some cheap figures that I'm trying with. Now, this is the most important thing. You need RIT Dye More synthetic. You make sure you get the synthetic dye. If you don't get the synthetic dye, that means it's like fake. The other dye, it won't work and it'll like ruin your figures. So just get the synthetic dye. And okay, now this is a really important step. Now, don't follow the directions on the bottle. I made the mistake the first time. This is my second time dyeing action figures. Don't make the mistakes the first time. So you're going to shake it up really, really, really good. You're going to want a pot that you're never going to use with food. This is like a crappy pot. And, that's funny. But you just pour it. It says half water, half dye. But you put a little bit more. Listen, the more dye you put, the darker your figures will be, the less you have to go over and over. If you fill it up nicely, then you won't have to do multiple times. All these ones I've only dyed once, and they all worked. So the most important tip I'm going to give you is don't listen to the box and don't boil it. What I just did was I put a low flame and put all these figures in, and just kept it there for and kept checking. This is what you do. You put everything in, and you just got to keep checking on the figures, because I tried to listen to the directions on the box the first time, and I wound up ruining a few figures. Good thing they were bad figures to begin with. So, low heat, but keep them in there a long time, and keep checking them. Like, take it out, look at them, and eventually the heat will heat up the figures, but not enough that they get warped, right? That's what happened to me the first time. Warped the figures. You don't want that. So what you're going to do is just leave them in there, keep checking them, keep stirring it, and you should wash them first, just because any factory oil or whatever that might be on them, it could like just mess up some of the adhesion of the ink. But it really is, it's fairly simple. You just throw everything in there and just keep checking it. The more dye, the better. And just leave them in there. Just leave them in there. Alright, so here we are. Now this is after letting them sit for a day, just because I was working on some other stuff. But boy, did I finally figure out how to dye figures. So now, when I first tried this, I think I tried a few years ago, and I used like fabric dye, and I boiled it really, like I followed the directions on the bottle. Don't follow the directions on the bottle. That's my one tip to you. And I'm gonna like let you guys know some stuff that I should have done, so you don't make the same mistake when you try and do this. So let's just get right to it. So yeah, when I first did this, I used the wrong dye. I used fabric dye instead of synthetic dye, so you definitely want to get the synthetic dye. Don't even listen to the directions on it. I put really low temperature, and I just like kind of mixed it around like a stew. So I did low temperature, really low, and I put like half of the dye, half water, and I just let them sit for like a long time. I think I did an hour. And again, obviously the longer you let things sit, the longer they, the more they dye. But so a few tips now. Excuse me, I didn't have my coffee this morning. We're just winging it. We're having fun on the channel, whatever. So what I would recommend to you, here, let me see this. try and scratch off any paint that's on something. This dye is gonna dye the it does dye some paint, but it mainly dyes the plastic. So like, see his shirt design right here is still on the figure. I'm going to scrape it off eventually and then probably repaint it, but you know, as of how it looks, it's good, man. I really am happy. And also another tip, sometimes it gets in the joints, but you're gonna wanna bend the joints while you're dyeing it. Try and like take the figure out and bend the joints, and so it's getting like, so the dye when you're dyeing it gets into the joints a little bit more. I should have done that. Star-Lord, it actually seems like it got in a lot of his joints, but some of the other figures, I think it didn't get in the joints. So that's just a little tip. You know, move the figure around a little bit. But for the most part, you're gonna, yeah, see, look right there. It didn't get inside the neck piece. Where is it? My computer, my thing is spazzing. Sorry about that, guys. But so yeah, just try and move it around while you're dyeing. I'll know this next time. But there you go. That turned out great. These cheap multiverse soldiers, Rick Flags, I wanted them to be SWAT team. Now you could dye these blue. I saw someone dye them blue. They looked good as blue also. So my next ones, I'm going to probably get synthetic blue dye. And I think this is really awesome. So, you know, like say you want to paint something. Look, see, you just make sure you move it around, guys, because it's, see, his elbow is not, there's no dye there. A lot of people take the thing fully apart and dye that. That's probably your best bet. But again, you know, this channel, we do things the easy way. And I wasn't trying to take apart a figure just so I could dye him. Because again, these are like background figures and stuff. This is just for toy photography. It's nothing crazy. This was actually a custom that I had. And the guy painted it. This is like red supposed to be. And I dyed it anyway. And I think it worked. Because these were red. This was a Daredevil. But he painted it black. And I dyed it black. So I think it's like double black now. I'm happy with that. These guys, you know, back when Toys R Us was still around, these were clearanced like crazy. So these can make a bunch of good ninja figures. A lot of people are using these. Or even Mythic Legions. I saw some people using these. So that's why I got rid of that green. And that outfit looks a lot better as black. So I'm happy with this. The things I feel like worked the best were the little accessories. This was the translucent green for the NECA Predator figure. This was that like translucent green. That turned out great. I'm going to start dyeing my casts because I make casts. So now I'm going to start dyeing them. After you make them, just dye them. Look at that. This was, and no damage either. Like, it really didn't damage any of the figures. It's not loose. My first time, I used the high boiled water and it ruined my figure. The first guy I ever dyed was a Rick Flag figure and it turned out all loose and it was gross. This thing is great. I really can't believe how the dye really, it worked, man. Look at that gun. This was like a cheap dollar store crappy gun. Now it looks really nice. It's black and I could always dry brush it now and it'll look even better. This was a cheap crappy multiverse shotgun that came with the Steve, not Steve Trevor, the Wonder Woman Steve figure. And it looks much nicer now. It doesn't look so cheap. I'm probably going to have to scrap that china off. And give it a little dry brush, maybe a little brown. Boom. So, oh, and last but not least, the jacket. It dyed the jacket very well. A little bit on the top, there must have been paint. And it's a little reddish. But again, that's just a little bit of paint. And you could paint over that. But look at that red Star-Lord jacket. The Star-Lord might be a Wesker from Resident Evil Custom. So that's why I dyed him all black, because Wesker wears all black. But there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found this video easy. If I missed anything in the video, it happens. Making YouTube videos aren't as easy as people think. Leave a comment below. I try and answer everybody, and I will address your question and help you out. But this is very easy. I really recommend everyone going out there, get synthetic dye. It's at Walmart, very cheap. And just dye some figures. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to experiment with different colors. I only tried black. So now I'm going to try and get blue. I have like tons more Rick Flags. So I'm gonna do some blue Rick Flags for like SWAT officers. These are like, maybe I'll put hunks. I'll make these like Resident Evil hunks. I'll put some gas mask on them. And there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. This was Rocco the Great, aka the Toy Bookie. And I hope everybody's staying safe, staying well, and also, most importantly, stay great. Peace. I just wanna toy hunt. I just wanna toy hunt.